Good morning. Welcome to the 10:30 a.m. edition of the Fourth Branch program, the first and only program dedicated exclusively for those with common sense, a spirit of patriotism, and a determination for a more perfect union. Today we have a very interesting program, and this is part 3 of the series, The State of the Republic. But before we tackle this interesting program, I don't know if you have been watching or following this particular discussion. It is to take a look at what the country is, what the current state of affairs is in the country at this moment in time. We have already aired a couple of episodes to this regard, and today we will tackle episode 3, where we will continue the discussion of this important topic, which fits perfectly in this moment of time in the history of the country. But before we start the discussion, let's take a quick look at what's been going on in the news for the past few days. 2 days ago, there was an op-ed that was penned by a senior level official in the Trump administration, and it says, it begins with this title: "I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration." This op-ed was penned anonymously by a high-level official, which sent Donald Trump into a raging mood. He labeled the author of treason. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is the White House press secretary, called the individual a coward. Obviously, the op-ed did not paint a flattering picture of the Trump White House. As if that weren't obvious enough, the author of the op-ed claimed to be, with many others, the guardrail against Trump's incompetence, childish, and outright unfitness for the Oval Office. As it is a regular scene with the Trump administration, everybody is now a suspect. High-level officials, one by one, have been coming to deny having any involvement with this op-ed, claiming their innocence in the matter. Even the First Lady, Melania Trump, had to clear herself as not being the author of the op-ed. She went as far as putting a memo out to call the author a coward and to ask that the person come forward and declare their identity. According to Omarosa, who is the former White House liaison to the black community, the op-ed has all the hallmark of the Vice President Mike Pence. Another White House official, Kellyanne, also seems to concur that Mike Pence is the author of the op-ed. It should be also noted that Mike Pence had denied any involvement with this information being published by the New York Times. Donald Trump has been in a very raging mood. He had labeled the New York Times as a failing newspaper. He had also called on the New York Times to reveal the identity of the author of the op-ed. In the meantime, he also called on his Attorney General Jeff Sessions to find out who is behind this very unflattering op-ed, which paint the Trump White House as an organization in chaos. In order to get to the bottom of that, John Kelly, the same one who has ranted about the president as an idiot, is now in charge of finding out who the rat is, as Trump has labeled the individual behind this op-ed. Now this is unprecedented, obviously, because not only of the situation where a high-level official within an administration has published an article that take the administration apart piece by piece for the way that Trump has been running the country, but also unprecedented that a news media has published in an anonymous fashion information that is obviously worthy of news, but usually there would be a name associated with the information. This is the state of what's been going on in the Trump administration for the past couple of days. In another piece of news, we have in Dallas on September 6th, that's on Thursday night, on September 6th, a Dallas police officer killed a black man in his own house. His name is Botham Jean, who is originally from St. Lucia, was in his apartment when a police officer opened fire and killed him. You can hear on the 911 call that the police officer called to say that he had killed an individual in his own apartment because she mistakenly thought she entered her apartment and there was an intruder. Botham Jean was 26 years old and was pronounced dead at the hospital. A warrant for the officer was issued and the chief of police planned to charge her of manslaughter. A side note that we are currently working to bring you a series where we detail in each episode the state of blacks in America. And we will discuss how the system, since the beginning of time, even after slavery was abolished, that the system has set it in such a way for black to always be the victim in our society. At a rally in Montana, we have Donald Trump at a rally in Montana that which we will shortly give you an inclination of what was being discussed. Donald Trump went to Montana to help Republican keep the seat. However, as usual, Donald Trump went into a ranting about his own personal situation. Now, That was yesterday on Friday, the September the 7th, where Donald Trump was urging his followers to vote in order to prevent him from being impeached. This is indeed unprecedented time. The President of the United States at a campaign rally using the possibility of him being impeached to encourage constituents to go to the poll to vote. Let's take a look at what exactly Donald Trump was saying, and we will come back to comment on this unprecedented situation.
Use the impeach word. Impeach Trump. Maxine Waters, we will impeach him. But he didn't do anything wrong. It doesn't matter. We will impeach him. We will impeach. But I say, how do you impeach somebody that's doing a great job, that hasn't done anything wrong? Our economy is good. How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? We will impeach him. But he's doing a great job. Doesn't matter. Remember that line. He's doing a great job. That doesn't matter. We'll impeach him. It is a hell of a place in Washington. You know, I was thinking, if that happened, every time a Republican or a Democrat, opposite, got elected president. So let's say a Democrat gets elected someday. Hopefully it's a long time. But let's say a Democrat gets elected. And let's say we have a Republican House. We will impeach that Democrat, right? And then a Republican. We won by a lot. We won by a hell of a margin. That's a lot. That electoral college, we won by a lot. Okay, so we're in there. We've got the best employment numbers in our history. We've got the best economy in our history. You look at the numbers in every category, it's great. We're doing a great job. We're putting on phenomenal judges. And you take that and you do. Then what you're going to have is you'll have a country that's going to turn into a third world country. Because if the opposite party becomes president, every time before it even starts, before you've even found out whether or not he or she is going to do a great job, they'll say, we want to impeach him, and you'll impeach him. It's so ridiculous. But we'll worry about that if it ever happens. But if it does happen, it's your fault because you didn't go out to vote. Okay?
This is totally amazing. Now, ironically, this is what the country has become. The President of the United States at a rally campaigning for a member of the Senate to keep his seat. The rallying theme is, don't let me being impeached. One must admit this is unprecedented. For the first time in the history of the Republic, a president has to use as a rally thing the possibility of his impeachment, making this almost normal. It's almost like talking about getting a cup of coffee. That's what being impeached seems like. There was a time when even coming up with the word impeachment, even for the constituent to use that word, they had to be cautious. They had to think about it. But today, the President of the United States has normalized the idea of him being impeached. But contrary to what Mr. Trump claimed at the rally, presidents don't get impeached for doing nothing wrong. Otherwise, every single president since the existence of the Republic from Washington to today would have been impeached, because it's obvious they were no saints. They have done things that constituents on one side would find unacceptable, would find that president would need to be punished for. But those things never amount to any one of those presidents claiming publicly that if you do not vote, I will be impeached. Again, presidents don't get impeached for doing nothing wrong. Now, although Democrats at this time vying to take over the House in the midterm election have been trying to stay away from even talking about impeachment. And that is the irony of the whole thing. Democrats, without any doubt, if they take possession rather of the House, would undoubtedly begin the process of impeaching Donald Trump. But they have stayed away from talking about it. But the President of the United States has found it a normal piece of conversation to talk about the possibility of him being impeached. No, Mr. President, you would not be impeached for doing nothing wrong. As of date, just to give you an idea of the state of affairs, as of date, Donald Trump has been accused by his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, of wrongdoing in federal court. In the Southern District State of New York, Michael Cohen said that Donald Trump was involved in wrongdoing. That is unprecedented. And second, his business in New York is under investigation. And it has been for quite some time. And it is even rumored that he has used the business as a cover to request charity money, but keep that money for himself. And we had a preview of that during the primaries, where he went to collect money for veterans, but even after 2 or 3 months after his presidency, that money was still not given to the party for which that money was collected. And we know, and it's obvious, that Mr. Trump's behavior and action are very obvious sign that it is necessary to impeach Donald Trump. And I didn't even discuss the fact that there is an investigation being done by a special counsel. Everything points to the fact that Donald Trump is in big trouble. Don't go anywhere. We will come back to discuss the topic of the day, which is the state of the Republic.